One of them is in SEC. The Gators beat Auburn Saturday. The other team, Houston, what a comeback. Down by 9 with a minute 14 left. Never give up. That's we've seen a few. That's one of the best ever. I don't think I've ever seen that in the Final Four. Rob Brown here, Brendan Martin. Do us a favor. Take your phone, take a picture of the QR code. We're on X. Subscribe. You'll get a ding when we go live. Also on YouTube, our YouTube channel here. A lot going on there, a lot of shows. And Facebook. We broadcast live streaming on 7 channels. We're doing it right now. But if you miss us, let's say you're watching us live right now, but tomorrow you've got a trial. You're an attorney. You can watch us.
Yeah, Rob.
Yeah.
The whole internet knows that they can watch us again.
Yeah.
On another channel. So, folks, like, subscribe, whatever. Rob is still fascinated with this concept. It's fantastic. He's like, it's amazing. You can watch it later and everything. It's like on demand. It's like it's actually there. Guys, if you miss it, you can see it again. I swear to God, it's cool.
Fascinating.
Fascinating.
Okay.
Let's bring in 2 guys that fascinate me, Tommy K and Franz Beard. Welcome to the program, gentlemen.
All right, thank you.
I'm
guys.
fascinated.
Did you know
to
you
have
can
y'all.
watch it later? Did you know you can watch shows later afterwards they're on? You can watch them afterwards.
It's
That's amazing.
It's a brilliant concept. Brilliant.
It's great. We should do some. We'll call it YouTube. That's what we'll
Yes.
call it.
All right, but anyway, I tell you what, I got to be on there with Franz and Buddy and Brendan Saturday night after the Gators win. Little pop-up show. That was fun. Franz out in San Antonio. Tommy's in Charlotte. Those of you that thought it was a given Duke would win, that last minute and 14 seconds, that's some of the best made-for-TV stuff, Tommy, that has ever been done. And I don't remember that happening in the Final Four. I've seen regular season games, team down by 8 with 30 seconds. They came back and won. That was a long time ago. But I'll start with you, Tommy, because Franz is in San Antonio on the Riverwalk right now. Probably knocked out 10 miles. But Tommy, what a day, what a night we got ahead of us.
I mean, yeah, it was the Final Fours was exactly what you wanted it to be. You know, you got the 4 number 1 seeds going at each other, and it did not disappoint. The Florida game was a great game, but that Duke game was unbelievable. You know, and I was sitting there watching it at a friend's house at a gigantic, huge screen TV. It was like, 8-foot long screen on the wall, but it was just awesome. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, okay, Duke's up, I think you said, Rob, like 6 or whatever, 8, whatever, the minute
9,
40 to good. Yeah, 9 with a minute.
9.
And I was just like, okay, they've got it. They've got it. Like, and and I'm always one of those kind of people that think the game's never over till it's over. Like anything can happen. Basketball, if you use your timeouts correctly, use your fouls correctly, you can work your way back into the game. But it's Duke. Like you don't expect Duke to let something like that happen to them. You can expect some other school, NC State, that would happen to them 10 times over. But just Duke, you just don't expect that to happen just because of their pedigree and the way they're coached, and they have such great like cerebral players that like know the game and understand the game so well. And to Houston's credit, like they just did not give up. And on the defensive end, they were contesting every one of Duke's shots, and Duke couldn't put the ball in the basket in the last couple minutes. And I mean, it wasn't, and Houston just took advantage of it. And they, like Coach V used to always say, you got to put yourself in a position to win is all you can hope for. And that's exactly what they did. And it came to fruition. I will say this, when the kid reached over the line and touched the ball for the technical foul, in my mind, I was like, all I thought about was like Chris Webber. I thought of all these people that made these terrible, catastrophe moments in the Final Four or championship games where you're like, oh no, they're going to remember that forever because he just screwed up the whole game. But he didn't, so he got off the hook. But that was my thought process at the time.
Yeah, I don't think that Franz, after that Auburn-Florida game, you would have 2 games that good back-to-back. And I just, I'm looking at this story about Cooper Flagg. Doug reminded me, Doug Dean and Frank Duffy just now, he got paid apparently $4.8 million all in, but he couldn't make a 5-foot floater at the end to win. What an unfortunate thing to happen to Duke. I know you're upset, Tommy, but I'll let Frank.
Well,
Crocodile tears.
Here's the one thing that everybody is avoiding to say, and that somebody should be saying it. This was the most monumental choke in the history of the NCAA Final Four, because that's what it was. It was a choke. Yeah. Duke had a 14-point lead and was blowing the doors off of Houston. It wasn't that Houston did so much. It was that Duke did so little.
Yeah.
You look in the last 10 minutes of the ball game, that's when your superstars have to touch the ball. That's when they have to get the ball in position to do some things. Cooper Flagg is 1 for 5, had 2 rebounds. 2 rebounds. There were missed shots. Why didn't he get one? Why didn't he get a stick back? You look at the little things on there. Look at the dumb foul he committed with 19 seconds to go in the game that gave them the tying and go-ahead points. Houston, give Houston credit for coming back. Yeah. But let's not gloss over the fact that Duke, the player of the year, allegedly, and I question that because you had 3 guys there, the numbers 1, 2, and 3 guys in the voting for National Player of the Year were here in San Antonio Saturday night. Number 3 only got 3 points and 3 rebounds. Number 2 only got 3 points and 3 rebounds in the last 20 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
Number 1 all of a sudden folded his tent with 10 minutes to go and 5 points, 2 rebounds the rest of the way. When his team needed him to make a play, he didn't make one.
Yeah.
And then you got Walter Clayton Jr., who made every play you can imagine in this game. Florida showed his game. And I give Houston credit for coming back because you don't come back like that. That's just not all on Duke. But right. It couldn't have happened without Duke cooperating a bit by really going into the tank.
Yeah, Tommy, the way Houston plays defense is just relentless. That keeps you in every game. If you're going through hell, what's the best advice we've all been given? Keep moving.
Yeah. I mean,
they were in it.
They really do. And, Duke over the years too has always been kind of known for that, like the relentless defense always up in your grill right away from the tip of the ball. And Houston just took it to a different level, and they just have all season. They got so many athletes that are in such great physical condition. Like at the end of the game, Duke just tired out. I think Duke just couldn't get their legs underneath them. They couldn't do anything right, and Houston was just relentless in their face the whole time, and that. I mean, people always say it, and I believe it, but defense wins championships. And now tonight you got 2 teams that play great defense. And I think to me, like what it's going to come down to tonight personally is just like, because both teams play such hard defense, I think foul trouble is going to maybe play a big factor in tonight's game. I just think that both teams are going to go hard at each other. And if they're, depending on how the refs call the game, if they let them play a little bit, or if they're pretty tic-tac fouls on there, I think that's going to be the big factor is the foul trouble for both teams.
Well, I think to look at is when is the last time we've seen a guard be so dominant?
Oh yeah,
in the Final Four. I mean, I as a kid still have nightmares about when my Memphis Tigers played in St. Louis and Bill Walton was 21 of 22, and you couldn't dunk it back then. 21 of 22, Carrot Top just crushed it. Friends, I can't remember.
Bill Lee just kept lobbing the ball up there, and I was there at that game
in St. Louis. I mean, what a game! But I mean, Clayton, like Doug Dean and Frank Duffy and Maury and I were texting during the game. Doug made a great point. He goes, "What this really proved was that Walter Clayton Jr. is the best player," and it's just that's what we learned. I mean, but this show has been way ahead of that curve. And friends, you go back several months ago, you said Micah Hanlockton, when he comes back, and I think that's one of the best stories in college athletics. I've been on it all year. He gave up his red shirt for the team. He loves the laundry. He's a Gator for life. That guy is a folk hero. Condon had 1 point Saturday, but everybody's there for each other. And I just cannot remember a player that dominant, a guard. Magic Johnson in 79,
Kemba
75,
Walker.
64.
Kemba
Walker,
Walker.
UConn. Yeah.
Yeah, Kemba Walker.
Yeah,
But I mean,
that comes to mind.
Pretty elite company. That's what I'm saying.
Well, here's what I believe about how Florida attacks, and you're right about Micah Hanlongton. I said back on your show that when he came back, that Florida had the missing piece, and he does give them that because all of a sudden he doesn't have to score a point in the 10, 12 minutes he plays. He's a wall, he's a rim protector. He gives you 5 extra points. You got to remember something. Sam Alexis can play now. Sam Alexis is 6'9", 240, and he can stretch a defense. Yeah. Houston does play a relentless style of defense. I granted, I give him that. I've known Kelvin since he was in high school at Red Springs playing for his dad. Knew him when he played for Lacey Gain at Pembroke. He is, as far as just being able to coach, he really can. Now, does he bend a rule or two along the way? Well, you could say that since he's only put 4 teams on probation. I about barfed listening to him going into his sanctimonious stage there Friday. I mean, I'm talking with John Clay from the Lexington Herald, and John and I looked at each other, go, I like that.
Well, how did they ultimately get Al Capone? Just remember that income tax evasion. They get you on something
like that. But they come at you in ways, and they have benefited from slow whistles. Now, if you get the same crew that was there Saturday, which was Roger Ayers, Courtney Green, and this guy named Desai, who's an ACC official, those were the guys that called the Florida game. If they get that crew, it's going to be a slow whistle. If they get the crew that called the second game, it'll be a quicker whistle. I don't know who, the NCAA does not necessarily put the same crew. If you work the semifinal as a crew, you don't necessarily work the final as a crew. They may mix and match them up, and they have 2 alternate officials as well. So they've got 8 officials to choose from. And I don't know what they're going to do, but Tommy's absolutely correct. You don't know how the game's going to get called. If it's a moderate whistle, what I would say somewhere between a quick one and one that lets them play. They got to be able to play a little bit, but you can't let it turn into a rock fight.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And the officials, they get a 30-minute break, but y'all all know they're running up and down the court. You've got to be in shape. And so it'd be like players playing, not quite like it, but back-to-back games would be big. Tommy, Buddy's in here. And before I go to Buddy, I got to ask you something. And we talked about this. Doug Dean pointed it out on the roundtable. It's not Cooper Flagg's fault that the ACC wasn't that good this year. That's always been the standard. As a kid growing up in the South, after football season, we watched our SEC basketball, but it was usually Kentucky beating the hell out of everybody. And, everybody's saying they were committed to basketball, and you're going, yeah, right. But do you think also you've had 5 generational coaches check out in the ACC. Is that the bigger story? But I want to, because Duke's out, and the Wall Street Journal, Maury Gaston sent me a great article from the Wall Street Journal, and I'm trying to get that writer on the show about the dark money with Duke basketball.
Yeah.
But I digress.
Does the name Chris Duhon ring a bell?
Yeah. Tommy, you know what's going on over there.
Duhon was Slidell, Louisiana, right? Isn't that where you're from, I think?
Yes, he was.
Yep. I remember.
His mother was a teacher's aide. The next thing you know, she had a hoity-toity job there in Durham and was driving a Mercedes. But it's only because somebody went to Slidell and recognized that this woman is way too smart to be living in an 800 square foot apartment and driving a 86 Ford Tempo.
Right. Yeah, you could look at it two ways. Maybe they were just visionaries. They were ahead of their time because
Yes. Yes.
They were NIL pioneers.
Yes.
Is what
That's
were.
right. They were just, but yeah, the Duke situation and all of that is, I mean, when you see Cooper Flagg making $5 million a year, he's a 17-year-old kid. He technically should still be in high school, right? I mean, it's just the landscape of what we know. We've talked about this ad nauseum. It's just different. It's a business now. You got general managers for teams. You've got, you got all these NBA players jumping on as assistant general managers of Steph Curry at Davidson and Trae Young at Oklahoma. Like they're got titles now and they got jobs as assistant GMs of these teams. And it's the dynamics of college basketball for us purists that loved it as a quote unquote amateur sport and true recruiting, true loyalty to the teams, building all that up. That's just gone. And hopefully, but I'm not saying it's lost forever.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it could come back. I think there's some ways that it could come back. And I don't know if you guys saw Jay Billis this past week. He put out a big podcast about his opinion on how to fix everything. And he was like, you got to offer contracts. The schools offer contracts to these players and say, you got to give me 3 years. If you get arrested or if you don't make your grades, you void the contract. And if you want to be bought out or you want to change schools, then you got to buy us out of the contract. Either you have to pay us or another school has to pay us to buy out your contract, just like in the professional world. So, I mean, it'd be interesting to see what's going to happen because we got a lot of change still coming in college basketball and college sports altogether.
Yeah, buddy, we've talked about that. I mean, everybody, I moved jobs one time. I had a 5-year contract and I got something on the front end, but your ass better stay there 5 years and you better produce. That's exactly how we're going to fix it. Buddy Martin down on the coast, the Panhandle, LA. You agree with that?
You old guys just don't get it, do you? No, I mean, I'm loving it right now. I never mind Duke going to the dark side or Kevin Sampson being a crook or whatever. Look, you think Jimmy Valvano was a saint? I mean,
of course he was.
But the closest thing I've seen to a saint is got in the Hall of Fame, Billy Donovan. But nonetheless, here's the thing. We're at a point tonight where Gator fans haven't been in a long time. It's beyond therapeutic. Franz Beard is still walking 3 feet off the ground. He hasn't touched his U.S. cast of the floor since 3 weeks ago. And this team is something to behold. Yes, there were things wrong with everybody and everything. No doubt about it, including the Florida Gators. It's a little bit more wrong in some places. But remember, Rob, we talked about NIL a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
And I said the free market will eventually sort it out. That's what it is. We have no choice in NIL deals. It's here. It's the way it's going to be. Now, this is a hand we're dealt. But out of some of this stuff we're talking about that's ugly and dark, whatever, we saw 2 beautiful games yesterday. And like them or not, Houston was remarkable in their comeback in the last 2 minutes. In one of the great comebacks by a basketball team, no matter. I don't care if we bought 5 guys for $10 million apiece. They played like a team. I heard Barkley say something last night. I loved it. I wrote about it today on GatorBaitMedia.com. It was, if it comes down to skill versus will, yesterday the Wills won it. And although I think Florida has a little of both, certainly it wasn't the skill of Houston so much as the will. I love that thought, and I'm going to hang on to that thought during this tournament. No matter who wins the game tonight, it's been a tremendous shot in the arm for Florida, for the SEC. And my gosh, even though if Houston wins, this will be a memorable year for the SEC. We've all regaled at it. We've loved it, seen it, so on and so forth. So, I mean, yes, Walter Clayton Jr. should probably be, sorry, Auburn fans, player of the year. Okay?
No doubt.
I mean, look, how much better can you play than that? If you look at the numbers, he's like one of 8 people or 7 people to ever win, score that many points in both in the finals and the Elite Eight. I read a list yesterday. The names on it are staggering.
Yeah.
Staggering. We're talking Larry Bird, we're talking all the great ones. So he has placed himself in a unique situation on you. He's very likely going to be the best player to play. And if they win tonight, on the best team, friends, ever at Florida. No matter what we say, we love Joakim Noah, Al Orphan, love those guys. We follow them. But if this team wins tonight, they'll be the best team because I say team in the greatest sense. You talk about depth. I've never seen a basketball team with a depth like this, talent and depth to get. Number 8, 9, 10, and play. So what happened in all the games, and I'm going to stop talking here, Rob, but we've discussed this 100 times on my show and yours and you, France. That is, they just beat you down. And when it comes down to the last 4 minutes, France, who's going to own the game?
The team that has the legs in Florida. And buddy, you were asking this question during the game. Why is he sitting Walter Clayton? Well, he sits him for a reason, because you're going to need him in the last 8 minutes to dominate the ball game, and he did. He took the game over. It has been, I think, one of the more fun runs to the championship game that we've seen.
Janai Broome was not the same. Look, he was hurt. I mean, but to do what they did to him, he scored 12 in the first half and 3 in the second half, and Florida had an 11-0 run. That says something. I thought they should probably double him. He was muscling his way into paint every time down, and they couldn't stop him. I thought, this game is, you got to play Walter. Let him shoot the ball every time in the second half, because I didn't think they could do it. I doubted the fact that, once again, Houdini arrived.
Well, you talk about the free market, and I get a lot of crap, Tommy and Buddy and friends, from people going, there's your free market, Rob. It's really working out. I said, you watch, trust me. Money will win out. The fans will win out. Tommy, I saw a lot of guys. If you see guys in the locker room that are emotionally hurt after a loss, that tells you that they do care. I mean, everybody makes money. You're going to tell me that just because you make money, you cannot be emotional and passionate and love where you are. But I think what we got to do is, I don't want to see kids over there on the sidelines after a loss just checking their personal stats and their balance in their sheet and their financial statement. I want to see them embraced in that team. And I think the contract, we got to have the contracts. But this game of college amateurism, whatever we want to call it, we know guys have always been getting paid. What makes college so important is we brag about how old our arenas are, and the pros talk about how new they are. We're all about history, traditions, and heroes.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's no doubt players have been getting paid for a long, long, long time. I mean, going back to, and some of them will even admit it. Dominique Wilkins was going to NC State, and all of a sudden, within a week later, he flipped from because he was a North Carolina kid, and he flipped and he went to Georgia, and he talks about the big suitcase that was at his front door one day when he, was making his decision. That's always been a factor in this whole thing, but the game itself, like Buddy was just saying, like this weekend, we were all watching those games as complete basketball fans and fans of college basketball and the greatness, knowing what's on the line. You're in the Final Four, blah, blah, blah. Nobody was thinking about the money. Nobody was thinking about the NIL deals these kids have. Nobody was thinking all that. And you can see they play hard. They play with passion. And they're all competitors, right? You would think not all. Okay, I would say maybe, let's put a percentage on it. 85% of the kids that are on these teams, when you're in a team and you're playing with a school and you're in practice every day and you're spending time together on the buses and the planes or whatever, you become a team. you're all in. Like, so the emotional factor is always going to be there if you have a pulse going through your body and you're part of a team. Now, other disgruntled kids that aren't getting to play enough or think they don't want to play enough and they're going to jump ship right away. Of course there are, right? And they're going to be the ones that are going to be texting right after the game. I'm in the portal, like 20 minutes later, like I'm announcing I'm in the portal. I mean,
yes,
so you're going to have that, but
Tommy, wouldn't you do that, Tommy, if you were a youngster with money out there? I mean, why wouldn't you do it? I mean, I don't like it. The fact is you can get a better deal now.
Well, and that you're right, buddy. I mean, like that's a great point. I mean, there is that level of it, and which I think is sad, and I think needs to be changed because I think that is.
I agree.
Yeah, but you're right. Like most of these kids, might not come from the best backgrounds or whatever like that. And they need to make money for their family or do whatever, and everybody. I mean, heck. If somebody told me that I could never be on sidelines, again with Rob Brown, because I could go to another radio station, they're going to pay me. Then I'll be like, "See you, Rob."
Oh, don't go that far,
no. Hey, I'll tell you what.
I talked to Jay Wright for a while Friday, and we're sitting there gagging over Kelvin Sampson together, and one of the things he says, what we've got now cannot be sustained.
Correct.
He says there are no guardrails. He said, kids are going to get paid, no question about it. Kids have always been paid at most places. I don't think the kids got paid at Villanova. I really don't. I think they may have gotten, some perks like being able to go to their favorite restaurant and somebody picks up the tab and stuff. That kind of stuff's always gone on. But I don't think they were getting outright pay, cash payments. And I think that's why he left the game was he decided I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
But what he said was this. He says, you got to have guardrails. You got to somehow or another make it so that, okay, if you're going to come to school, then you're going to have to go take an actual class.
Yeah.
And I threw up to him, I said, well, what about this? You got to have a 2.5 GPA to transfer and transfer without sitting out a year. He said, I like it. I said, what about if you're still taking a remedial course? You have to sit a year. He said, I like that even better. And we went down the list of things like that. And he said, it can be fixed. But he said somebody has got to show the commitment to it. Then he made the most important statement he made of the whole conversation. He said, the best thing that can happen is for football to go ahead and secede from the NCAA because football's the cash cow. And if football will secede from the NCAA, you can then start a brand new organization with a brand new set of rules that are applicable to all the other sports. He said it's the only way we're going to save the minor sports and the women's sports is to do that. But he says in doing it, the only way the new organization is going to get around it is to make a commitment to the women's sports and these other sports like that. He says otherwise, at the present rate that we're going with this thing, they're going to
look, I'm going to tell you, we live in an age right now where intelligent people who have rational thought are told to shut up so stupid people don't feel offended. And this is where the hell we are. Nobody's got the balls or the spine or the backbone on the God Bless America TV networks to come out and say the truth. But the pity party's got to stop about these athletes. They got to have money to eat. I mean, they're going to be taken care of.
All right, Rob.
No, buddy. Let me finish.
Well, I've had this kind of talk.
But no, I know. I'm just saying, it's going to sustain. It's going to work. But we can't keep feeling sorry for them, like that they don't get anything. But I don't mind them getting paid. But I don't want it to take away from our love of the game. Is what I don't want to happen. I mean, is that wrong?
Why are we having this conversation? Do we not think the basketball being played now is a very high level?
Is.
Is
It's
it
great.
not enjoyable? Is it making a ton of money? no matter who gets it, is it making a ton of money? It's like buying a brand new Lamborghini and saying, I don't think I like this as much because it goes 1 mile an hour under what I thought it would. I mean, look, it's not perfection. They were dealt a hand by the courts.
Yeah.
They had no choice. They couldn't say, we're not paying players. The courts told them to do this, okay? And they weren't ready for it, of course.
Yeah.
We could talk about the country right now being, look at the mess we're in right now. Whatever your political persuasion is, it's a mess, Rob. You know that. You're a financial man. Look at the markets this morning opening like they are. So, people say, well, we could do better. We should do this. We should do that. Look, let's just take the day and the night and say it's less than perfection, but it's really great basketball, fun to watch. Who could deny Auburn? Auburn had a fantastic year. Janai Broome was a perfect player. All of it. Duke got beat. Okay, Duke got beat. Duke wasn't good enough. They couldn't defend at the end. It is skill versus will. It's not cash. I don't know that cash changed one thing about that game last night, or would change it about that.
No, I agree with you there, buddy, 100%. Like I said earlier, like they're out there playing, they're playing hard. You don't think about the money, you don't think about all this stuff. But what it does, but I think what I have a problem with is how these teams are put together and how out of nowhere they just, they have these. Like I said this the other day, like NC State had a great run last year in the Final Four. It was amazing. This year we were terrible, didn't even make the ACC tournament. With today's landscape, we might be the best team in the ACC next year.
Tom, remember free agency in baseball? And Kurt Flood would change baseball because it'll never be the game. It's wrecked baseball and whatever. In fact, you're right. And money is here and it's a factor of all people. Rob, you know this. You deal in money every day, large amounts. Yeah. The fact is we don't like some things, but we're sitting there arguing about what should be. Let's take what is. What is today? What is tonight? Are you happy with Auburn? I think so, Rob. You are. Are we happy?
Well, I was. This is funny you say that because I've been getting, some people saying, Rob, you can't have this Gen Z. If you're not cutting down the nets, it doesn't matter. Of course, you're happy. Here's the difference. If you're an Auburn fan, you're in the company that, like, say, a Florida, Kentucky, Arkansas, LSU. Which Final Four are you talking about? Because I think it took Auburn's basketball program 116 years to finally make the Final Four. And now you've been there 2019 and 2025. That's a big deal. So yeah, you're very happy. Now you wanted to win. Your ultimate goal is to win the national championship. But as long as you get there, remember, it took Coach K 5 Final Fours, didn't it, before he won his first national championship. Now he made it to 13 Final Fours in his 42-year career. He made it to 13 Final Fours, and he won 5 national championships. So you're saying he had 5 good seasons and 37 bad ones? No, we do need to appreciate this and appreciate it for what it is. Bruce Pearl and that Auburn team, and you talk about a bunch of guys that love the laundry. They spilled everything they had in their bodies to help the program win a national championship. They didn't do it, but the love they have for that school and the love that the fans have for them, that's what we love about college. And what I'm saying is, ESPN and the narratives, it's got to be Cooper Flagg National Player of the Year. Look, what would you rather have? The Heisman Trophy or your team win the national championship? What would you rather be? National Player of the Year, win the Wooden Award, or be the best player in the 6-game NCAA tournament and cut down the nets Monday night? That's what I believe Walter Clayton's going to do. But I think what I'm saying about NIL, just because you pay someone doesn't mean they don't care. But I just know dealing with money, you don't give young people lots of money. You have incentives, age-banded incentives to where 3-year contract, GPA, accountability. Without accountability, you have nothing. You can have the greatest intentions in the world. We're going to give these people this and that. But if there's no accountability, you have a disaster on your hands. And I think the House settlement today, the judge is going to say something, buddy. We don't know exactly what, but it's likely everybody's going to have to come up with $20.5 million at the Power 4 or 5 schools, whatever. What's going to be cut? That's what I'm concerned about. Most schools in the SEC have 20 or more sports. You're going to cut down to half a dozen in 2 or 3 years because you can't afford them, and then everything else is club level sports. I mean, I'm concerned about that, Tommy. I mean, NC State, by the way, Will Wade, that's the best hire in the offseason. I mean, right now, you got to be loving that.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, of course, very much so. And we talked about earlier about the Duke being on the forefront of the with Chris Duhon, but Will Wade ran into his trouble at LSU, but all he was doing is what is going on right now. So like we're excited about it. The NC State fan base is excited. I mean, we just got a couple of big, huge recruits this past year. This past week, jumping on board. So we're we're number 12 in the nation now in recruiting class. So I mean, wow. We're excited about what's to come, and we'll just see. But ultimately, yes, it's great to have great coaches and great people, whatever. But you get ultimately the other side of it all now too is how deep are your pockets. Like how deep are the pockets of NC State in order to get these kids to come play there? Like you could be Coach K, arguably the greatest coach to ever coach any sport. You could be him, and if you don't have deep pockets of your school, then you're not going to have the players to win. I mean, so it's there's that part of it too. Like so, it's. But yeah, we're excited. We'll see what happens and all that. But I will tell you, going back to the game real quick, and you're talking about Clayton. In my opinion, tonight for the game tonight. I think it's going to be interesting. I think somebody else from Florida is going to step up and lead them in scoring and really have to step in order for them to win the game tonight. I think Houston's going to be locked in on Clayton. They're relentless. Clayton's a phenomenal player, great shooter, but I think he's going to have to be. If I was his coach, I would say, hey, look, if you don't force things, there's somebody else is going to be open. People are going to run at you. They're going to double you if they have to on the perimeter. Just be ready to make that extra pass. And guys like Martin and Richard, all those other guys on the team that can score pretty well, they need to step up and hit buckets, and I think that's what's going to be the key for Florida.
That's what's been Clayton's persona, friends. He waits. He'll wait. He had what first half? 12, 14, 20 points.
14 in the first half.
Second half. He'll wait forever.
15 in the last. He had 15 in the last.
That's like Mike Stevenson once said, "I'm prepared to wait till hell freezes over." The fact is, he'll wait. He doesn't have to have the 25 or 30. He's real happy with 16 and and whatever they win. He's that kind of player, and they're going to have to either double him or not. They're not going to stop him at some point in time. He'll wear down 3 defenders, just like any good offensive player will be. Broome took the hits of the Florida defenders the first half, 3 of them, but in the second half he got 3 points. I don't think Clayton can be stopped. He'll find a way to get that shot off. That one shot from the corner, that ball I swear curved around and over, friends, the glass and went in. That was an unbelievable shot.
Yeah.
I mean,
here's the thing that I want to point out about Walter. Florida played Auburn twice this year, okay? And in the first game, Auburn ran everybody at Walter. He finished with 19 points, but he had 9 assists in that game. And Florida's inside game destroyed Auburn. Auburn came out this game and said, okay, we're going to take our chances that he can't hit shots. And we're going to defend the inside and take the inside away. Florida's inside guys had 8 points and 10 rebounds. Walter Clayton Jr. went off for 34 points. It's kind of like this. Can you, and this is going to be the question for Houston tonight, can you defend him and defend the big guys on the inside and defend Richard and defend Amart on the outside as well? And that's going to be the real question. And we tend to forget, Will Richard kind of has these games where, like Saturday, when basically he plays defense the whole game, gets a few rebounds, gets a few steals, etc., like that, only scored 7 points. But here's the thing about Will Richard. He had a game earlier this year when he focused totally on defense and didn't score. He scored 30 the next night. He's very, very, very capable. And you want to get physical? I guarantee you that Houston does not have anybody more physical than Elijah Martin. That young man looks like looks like his next step will be the heavyweight championship of the world. I mean, Lord have mercy. He's got muscles in places I don't
You
even
look
have
like a
places.
young Dr. J taking off for the foul line and dunk. My goodness gracious.
Well, Houston's got a pretty stout team, but I don't see Houston offensively being able to keep up with what Florida can do. I mean, that they can Florida can beat you in a lot of different ways. And you look at Auburn, you take Broome, look, everybody's banged up. I never ever claim injuries as an excuse. If the guy's hurt, he's hurt, but he's still going to play. And you just got to have guys show up, but it's part of it. I mean, there's nothing you can do about it. But I want to go back to the comments from Jay Wright. I'm getting a lot of people texting me now, it's taken away from our love of the game. I don't think it is. I don't think this is taken away from our love of the game, because I guess I'll qualify this statement. Fortunately, we grew up watching, and Tommy, you played at NC State for Jim Valvano as a manager and Les Robinson. You've lived that life, and you don't have to have played the sport to know it, but you get it. And I'm telling you, I will never not have you on during basketball season, especially every week if I can help it going forward. We'll get that NIL contract. You're the real deal. And Buddy, I don't know what Buddy got mad at me about what I was saying, but I was just trying to say that I get so frustrated about when you say something intelligent like what Jay Wright is saying. I love that guy. And Jay Wright said, when they first got to Villanova, and Buddy and Franz, y'all, Tommy, you remember this, they were struggling. They signed 5 or 6 5-stars their first 3 or 4 years at Villanova, and they were coming in about 500. So they did a deconstruction analysis. This is a financial term. They broke the program apart. What are we doing right, wrong, and in between? They realized they weren't recruiting fits to the culture of Villanova, a private, small, Catholic university in Philadelphia with rigid academic standards. So they went and recruited to the fit. And I know this because I won the office pool at Duncan Williams, and a lot of money. It was great because I took Villanova, and I took him again. I won twice. I got second place one time. But Jay Wright gets it. But, he's a young guy, relatively speaking. We need him back in basketball. And, we need that. Will Wade was a pioneer in NIL, Tommy. But, damn, man, the passions that are over in Raleigh. And, by the way, you got to – everybody's got to get off of Will about what happened at LSU, because if Sean Miller didn't get anything or Bill Self at Kansas, Will Wade didn't do anything. I mean, but, I think Will Wade's going to have NC State quickly in elite territory in basketball. We need NC State because that reminds us of the great things we love about basketball.
Tommy, you were there in Albuquerque, right?
I was not. No, I'm not. No, I was not there.
He's too much younger.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I wish I was, buddy. I was 13 years old watching that happen and go
Okay.
down.
All right. You said you were there. I was
No.
in Albuquerque. I was in Albuquerque. I was there
Yeah.
for that game.
Yeah.
I remember talking to writing how
It was 10 years later he was there. He was
Yeah.
Tommy's a little bit younger. Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought so. I thought you looked too young to be up. But anyway, I just remember Valvano and this writing about how he's going to get run out of the town by the greatest basketball team I'd seen, Phi Slamma Jamma. And I go back with you to Norm Sloan if you want to, but your granddad, I'd tell you about that. NC State has a very proud tradition. They'll be back. They're playing in that really. I can say what you want to about the ACC. It's a tough league.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Look, the SEC, the friends this year, we've never seen anything like it, and probably will never see anything like it again.
That's right.
And the question is, will it be a bad year if the SEC team doesn't win tonight?
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think it's a bad year if Florida doesn't win. I think it's going to be a disappointing time because I think everybody anticipated that at least one of Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, and Auburn, one of those four, I think everybody anticipated one of those four would win it. I think Florida's the last team standing, the last great chance of the SEC. And I think the SEC is going to come up big. I think Florida is going to win this game tonight. I'm sold on the Gators, and I'm sold on the Gators because I see Todd Golden is a young guy like Dean Smith who's very calculating, who has this innate sense of knowing when to do stuff, when to make adjustments, and get his team to just snap out of whatever funk they're in and turn it into a positive. He's got that ability to do that. And I think it's going to be a really big year. But here's the thing, the ACC will be back. There's too many. I mean, look at this. North Carolina, you've got the Johnson & Johnson and the Union Carbide money behind it. North Carolina State has all these tobacco farmers. And yes, people can talk about the tobacco settlement all they want to. They're selling more cigarettes now than they've ever sold in their entire lives. And the reason they're doing it is because these people in Asia smoke them up like
crazy. Get them, though, friends. If Tariff might get them. Just remember.
So they've got all of that tobacco money there at North Carolina State. Duke's got money. Virginia's got money. Everybody's out there has money. The question is, how are you going to spend it, and where are you going to spend it, and are there going to be any guide rails on there to keep you, from going rogue? I think Jay Wright's right. We got to have the guardrails, and I think he's also right that we got to blow up the NCAA. Let them conduct events. Let them put them in charge of all the minor sports if you want, but take your big sports and put them under a new guidance.
I have a friend that played baseball at Brigham Young, and he was on this committee that went before the NCAA when he played in college. I worked with JD, and they were trying to get the 85 football scholarships put on a separate island, okay, from all the other sports. But they couldn't get that because they said, that's 85. So that's why you lost wrestling in the SEC. It was a great sport for many years. But that's common sense. That's what I'm saying. That's intelligent thought. And I know, Tommy, you've got to go here in just a minute. But I love all the press credentials and the wolf in the back. And my son Wilson's out in Jackson Hole right now, coming back tomorrow, and they hear the wolves out there. They see them not many places you can go in America where you see wolves when you're looking out of the side of the car, but the wolf pack. I love, Tommy, the passion that you bring. And Franz, God, I'm talking to Jay Wright. That's a guy. I love that guy. He gets it. And Buddy, man, you're talking about the Walter Clayton. I mean, he is an elite company. You're talking 7 or 8 guys who scored 30 back-to-back in the Elite Eight.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
Can I say one thing, Ron? I know Tommy's got to go. My disgust is not so much with the system, but they got to do a better job at ESPN.
Yes.
I watched, okay, you ready for this? I'm not a guy who criticizes announcers. That's not my gig, okay?
I know.
Or referees. That's Francis' gig. But the bottom line is this is a true story. Because my friend Woody Page, and we served together for years at the Denver Post, he's going out on the show that he helped make Around the Horn after 23 years. Yeah. It was one of his last shows I watched recently. Somebody says, "Why'd you watch that show?" Well, I watched because of Woody. They went on and talked about what they saw coming in the Final Four. I swear to you, they went on for a full program. They talked about all the teams that could win. They said Duke is as good a team as ever, and that Cooper Flag might be the greatest Blue Devil ever. Hello? That's what they said. They talked about who could win it all. They talked about Auburn, Alabama, whatever. Did they mention the Florida Gators? Not one time in the entire program did anybody mention the Gators. Now, look, I'm not a homer who says, look, Rob talk about Gators more than I do in that regard. But come on, guys, be a little intentional. Have a clue. Unless you were Stevie Wonder, you can see this unfolding, okay? You can see it. And Rob, you did see it a long time ago. Give you credit as an Auburn guy. So when you talk about a game, I would never say once they got to the Final Four with 4 seeds, I would never say that it's one team's game, but I believe the Gators could win it. So that's the thing that bothers me. I know it sounds homerish, but the lack of respect for a program that Todd Golden put together that is now going to be regarded as the standard. I'm sorry, guys. Give ESPN an F.
Well, that's true. And Tommy, your closing comments. John Brady, our coach, who's on the show with us every week, he said back in early November, he said, watch Florida. And he was right. And I don't get I do get the national narrative with ESPN. They went from 100 million subscribers to 70 or so. There's something financially not right in Bristol, Connecticut. ESPN Saturday Down South reported last week that game day is going to become an in studio. What the hell? Let's take sidelines on the road and do it. I mean, Tommy, but that's crazy. I mean, and Buddy's right. How can you not pick up on how good a program is, Tommy? I mean, close us out and then let people know how they can follow you.
Well, the ESPN module, I think that we've all seen over the years, it was, I think what's happened with ESPN, and I have some friends that work there and producers and stuff across the board and ACC Network, everything else that they own. And from what I gather, they have grown so big and they have to try to cover so many different things that there's really no
exactly right.
Yes, there's really no guardrails, so to speak, on on where they go with stuff, and they're losing money because they've grown so big they can't handle it. They don't, and there's people that are doing things that other people don't even know about, blah 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 blah, and it's just kind of like they've got too big for their britches across the board. And I think what's happened is that they're just starting to bleed money. And you read every once in a while, like every 6 months or so, I see a blurb. ESPN's laying off another 150 people. ESPN's doing this or whatever. So that model I think is just not going to sustain itself on that level with ESPN. Because, look, we all used to be tuning every night to SportsCenter. That was that was the thing. It was it was famous. It was like SportsCenter. I got to watch SportsCenter.
Yep.
Nobody watches it anymore. You don't have to watch it anymore because you get all your news right away on your phone and you get everything else and you don't want to, take the time. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with those guys. But I'll leave you guys with this. I think that this Final Four has been one of the best Final Fours we've seen in a long time, and maybe one of the best ever. And just because of the quality of basketball that is being played, I still love the game. I still love watching the guys play. I still do. I just wish in my heart of hearts it wasn't so much a business, because I'm a purist. I'm an old guy. I like seeing the loyalty of the teams and watching the players come in as freshmen and play till their junior year and all this kind of stuff, and knowing who I've got coming back next year for my team. I'm tired of picking up my phone every day going, oh, we just lost another player in the transfer portal. Oh, well. There's no that to me is not college sports in my heart, but I still love the game. I still watching it. And to Buddy's point, it's been a phenomenal Final Four and great to watch as a fan. So,
well, and here's the thing, Tommy, in the financial markets, you used to be able to get a lot of credit in sales of certain financial products and services. It's way down now. The market transparency, what'll fix this is transparency. When you have to do full transparency of what you're paying people. But Tommy, Pack Productions and stuff, you ought to do a documentary on this stuff. You have nothing else to do.
No, thanks, Rob. I'm not jumping in that boiling pot of water. No, thank you. I appreciate you guys having me on. It's always a pleasure to talk with Ron's friends and Buddy and you guys.
Take care, Tommy. Good to see you,
man, you guys too. And enjoy the game tonight. And I know you'll be pulling for your Gators, but if I had to make a prediction, I'm going to say the Houston Cougars are going to cut the Nets down tonight.
Well, you got 1 point. You got a point tonight, so it's a 1 point game. So
yeah.
It's going to be wild. Tommy, thank you. I'm going to holler at you today.
All right, guys, have a great one.
You too. Thank you. Let me say something about Landers Ford. Brad Bellamy, the general manager, was on the show with us Friday. They announced employee pricing. This is a big deal. All the stuff going on, tariffs, whatever. Landers Ford is the tip of the spear when it comes to working with you. Get hold of Brad Bellamy, the general manager, LandersFordMemphis.com. They're open right now, open 7 a.m., 7 p.m. every day of the week except Sunday. Sunday, they're off because As the SAG Big and Tall store in West Memphis used to say famously, the day means more than the dollar. Landers Ford, every product, the service department, they're first class. If you didn't buy your last vehicle from Landers, you probably paid too much. And Hewlett and Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, right down the street on the historic square in Collierville, Tennessee. Looking forward to going out there the next day or two. They got a big sale right now. It's still cold. I mean, it's 40 degrees this morning here in Memphis. It stopped raining after 5 days. I saw Noah. All animals in the area have been paired up lately. Get out to Hewlett and Dunn. Great time. Boots, the spring fashions are pouring in. They've got lots of dresses, purses for the ladies. Hewlett and Dunn open every day of the week, 10 a.m., 6 p.m.
You don't have to worry about Florida. Florida's basketball team is safe from the floods.
Yeah.
Because they got two of everything.
Yeah. And that's, buddy, you're right, is the depth. And the one thing you saw as the game went on, Auburn had Janai Broome. You put 4 or 5 guys, just they wear you down. Janai Broome will go down among Auburn people as one of the greatest players ever. And those guys, your second Final Four, Florida, this is like their 6th or 7th. This was the first time we'd ever had 2 SEC teams play against each other in the Final Four. So that's a big deal. And I'll say this, you win 32, 33 games, whatever. I don't know what Florida's number is now.
35.
35.
That's a big ass deal when you start winning like that. And so tonight, Houston, apparently Kelvin Sampson is not the favorite among a lot of coach friends. I mean, what did you say? Somebody was gagging over him waxing eloquently and being sanctimonious.
Sanctimonious
I don't know the guy. But I've never been around him.
I do. I've known him since he was in high school. Okay. I think Florida wins the ball game.
I do too.
I don't think Florida will make the mistake Duke made. Duke had a 14-point lead, and nobody is talking about what Duke stopped doing. Duke stopped attacking. Duke started playing clock. Duke started moving the ball around. Oh my gosh, this guy hasn't scored enough points. Let's get him some shots. They had Cooper Flagg destroying, but here's the thing. Great players, the greatest players, take over games when they have to, and he didn't. Their coach did not make the adjustments they needed to make. Give Houston credit. I mean, that was a great comeback. But my gosh, somebody had the guts to say the truth. Duke choked a monumental choke that we've never seen.
Yeah. And go back to March 16th when Scarborough launched his podcast on this channel that Sunday night. He put us on the spot. Everybody give me your Final Four. And I said, Michigan State, Florida, Alabama, Houston. Florida plays Houston for the national championship. Florida cuts down the nets. So I'm going to win some shekels tonight. I'm excited. Florida wins. But the thing is about Todd Golden, he's only 39. I'm with Buddy, and you know what he paid. I don't. I know he's from Memphis and grew up near where St. Jude Children's Hospital is now, but I don't understand why so many people around the country were so late to pick up on Florida. Hell, I did. I'm pretty smart though. And y'all did.
They became the darling there for a while. I don't really feel like people were missing them at the end. I think people were jumping on them all over the place. But I would like to say, and I wanted to get this in. Tommy was on, didn't get a chance, but it feels like tonight, Franz and Buddy. This is like it's like a couple of football teams kind of lining it up. It feels very physical. Right.
Yes.
It's a very defensive battle. Houston's going to battle you on defense. And it seems like, Franz, you could tell me if you are coaching Houston, how you are going to beat Florida. What is Houston going to do with what they have, and how did they cut down the nets tonight? What do they got to do to stop Walter Clayton Jr.? What do they got to do in the battle in the paint? Defensively, they're both very fundamental defensive type teams. Everyone in Florida plays defense. Everyone in Florida rebounds. How does Houston win tonight?
Well, very, very simple. Houston has got to first and foremost have Florida shoot 30% or less from the 3-point line, because Walter's not the only 3-point shooter. Will Richard has been known to go into comas and just hit everything unconsciously. Elijah Martin, we've seen what he can do. But Houston's got to stop Florida from hitting threes. Florida, on the other hand, has got to keep Houston in a one-and-done situation. That means the ball goes up. If it goes in, fine. If it doesn't go in, Florida's got to get the rebound. If Houston is offensive rebounding, Houston is going to wear you down that way, because here you look at the number of fouls that are picked up on second chance. You get the offensive rebound because all of a sudden you're back at you're in a scramble mode defensively, and people are out of position, and you get a lot of fouls that way. And Houston forces a lot of fouls because they get a lot of offensive rebounds. But folks, guess who one of the top 5 offensive rebounding teams in the country is?
Yeah,
Florida. Guess who ranks number 9 in KenPom in overall defensive efficiency?
Yeah,
Florida. Everybody keeps talking about Houston's defense. Florida's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a game like this. Whoever, and Todd Golden said it yesterday, whoever controls the backboards wins the ball game.
And you gotta be aggressive. I mean, Jason Caldwell from AU Undercover said on this show months ago, before Auburn played Florida February 8th at Neville Arena, I said, what kind of teams should Auburn be concerned about? He said, big physical teams that rebound the ball really well. It's Florida. Played them twice, didn't beat them either time. Second time was closer than the first time, but the difference maker, everybody's got to have difference makers. And you hope in football you sign 4 or 5 difference makers every year. A couple on offense, a couple on defense, maybe a special teamer. Walter Clayton, Elijah Martin, he's physical. The difference with Florida is they can go 9 or 10 guys into their bench that are good. They can give you quality minutes. That's why Florida's going to win the game tonight, 74-69, and cut down the nets. And they will celebrate a national championship in Alachua County. But the national thing, and Brendan, what I'm saying is so many of the national people were late to giving Florida credit. And it's not, I mean, they saw Auburn and Alabama and Tennessee, but Florida's record against those teams, you had to look at that. I just call it like I see it. I think they all have a man crush on Duke, the national media. I don't know what they're going to I don't know what they're going to do tonight, but and I don't hate Duke. Cooper Flagg seems like a stand-up kid. He's 17. How old is Walter Clayton? 22, 23? That guy,
he's
a quiet guy.
Right,
he seems like he's quiet, but you see him talking to the guys. He runs that team. Like, that's what's so fun to watch. Those guys seem like they're having a lot of fun. And I said on the show with y'all Saturday night, there's not a villain on the Florida team. There's not a particular player or group of players.
Is that guy getting up or what?
Yeah.
That looks like Dr. J back in the game, the ABA game in Denver, when he left the floor at the foul line and made his famous dunk. This is a guy you don't want to get in his way.
Yeah.
One piece of advice I must give to Houston: understand you want to play hard. Do not get in the way of this guy going to the basket.
Yeah, he's big. Out. And it'll be a fun game tonight. Jim Nance in the crowd. I saw that video of him, very emotional. His Houston Cougars, winning that game. I have to say it's the biggest collapse I've ever seen in a Final Four game. I can't remember one like it. Most heartbreaking play would have been if you were a Kentucky fan when Christian Laettner caught the ball in 92, whatever.
The finals, though.
Yeah, it wasn't the finals. That was the semifinal. Yeah. So that was not it.
That was the Elite
Elite
Eight game. It sent Duke to, that was a regional final. That one. games are won, games are lost on just the smallest of things. I mean, Butler almost beats. I guess it was Duke that they almost beat in 2011.
Back to back.
And that was a great Butler team that did that. This is a game that I think somebody earlier, it might have been you, Rob, who said someone that you don't expect is going to have a big ball game. I think Walter's going to have his big ball game. But just like I think LJ Cryer is going to have his big ball game for Houston. But it's going to be somebody in the supporting cast that's also going to go into a shooter's coma or a rebound, or all of a sudden become a rebounding machine.
Tommy Hoff, my man Tommy Hoff is going to do it.
Well, if I'm the coach,
he is.
I'm telling my guys before tip off, don't wait to be great. Got to have you tonight, because this is it for a lot of them. This is the last time they'll ever put on a basketball uniform for the rest of their lives, except playing in the church league.
Well, here's the thing about that we watch this stuff. It's like Florida's got Bennett Anderson, who comes off the bench. Bennett Anderson is from Tampa, Florida. His best friend is the daughter of my mom's macular degeneration doctor down there. 3.98 GPA in industrial engineering, and now has all A's in a master's program. And what does he want to do? He wants to be a coach.
$10,000 richer, by the way, France, too. Yeah. He got that scholarship, $10,000. It's a great story.
Yeah. All right, we're going to wrap it up, guys. We're a little bit long, but listen, tonight we'll be watching. It's going to be exciting. Like I said, I got Florida to win, but the SEC schools, you had 2 in the Final Four. I don't think we've ever had that before, 2 in the Final Four. So overall, it's been a great season, and we're going to be talking basketball tomorrow on this show, and then we're going to put the pedal to the metal, get into spring practice football. We're going to talk SEC baseball. I'll try to have Coach Brady on in the morning to break this thing down. And I got to tell you, man, the writing, Franz, that's been coming out, you and Buddy and Skarbinski, it's a sense of urgency about college basketball that I've never seen. It's a lot like football, and it's really cool. And I think we need more great writing. And I'm telling you, there won't be a Buddy Martin show tonight. Is that correct, Buddy? Because
I might do a little cameo shot.
But your regular time.
Okay. Right. We'll have unless Brendan orders us to do one at midnight. I don't know. But right now,
you better. I'm not getting into that.
And I do want to say thank you to Meldon Law from our sponsors, who normally this will be Meldon Law Monday, and our friends at all the other sponsors that do our show.
Yeah.
And we appreciate that very much. Them giving up their time. And Francis is going to do a great job tonight, as he always does, writing. We'll be on the call. We have others there. I think, is Coach going to be there tonight?
He texted earlier on the show.
He's there now. I know if he's ready.
He is in San Antonio.
And then Carlton Reese is a fine writer. Will be writing. So go to GetAbateMedia.com. Check it out.
Yeah, and so
and if you're here in San Antonio and you need a burger, go to Chris Madrid's and get the one with the jalapenos all over it. My gosh, the thing looks like it's as big as a pancake, and it's just a regular burger. I didn't have the guts to try what they call their mono burger, and I've been to Chris Madrid's before, but I got to tell you what. Lord,
does it come with Tums?
Friends eat free there, so I think he brings them up every show.
Friends,
hey, I got to go to Rudy's the original Rudy's, where the lady rips off a piece of paper that like brown paper and everything, says, "Here's your fine china to eat off of." And
well, they put 5 pounds of brisket on the plate in front of you. Do they come with the Tums? Is that free or is that extra? It's just, hey.
My first fajita I ever ate was in San Antonio on the Riverwalk.
I fell in the river. I have fallen in the river, so I got you all beat.
I don't want to hear about that, Brendan.
You know, I was
That river's
sober.
rough. All right.
I thought it was the sidewalk, and my right leg went in about all the way in.
It drowned away.
But couldn't have
Speaking of
been more
right
sober.
legs, I'm going to have surgery on
Oh,
mine.
you are?
Yeah, I've got it's either a tendon or a ligament in the right knee. That's and I'm walking wounded here in San Antonio. Thank God we don't have the hills like we had in San Francisco
Well, be
navigate,
careful out
so.
there, man. Hey,
You got to play with pain. Dan Jenkins said you got to play with pain.
Sometimes you got to play hurt.
Got to play hurt.
compartmentalize. That's what you got to do. For executive producer Brendan Martin, man, this great stuff. Kind of a combined show today. Rob Brown will be back tomorrow morning. Be ready. Watch all the shows on this channel. Can't get enough of it. Most often we see the face of Christ in the least among us. We're the most blessed people in the world. Mother Teresa's right. We can't all do everything, but we can all do something great for people every day. We're richer for it. Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.